Hi everyone, I'm going to tell you about a trip I took. Obviously, it's not really a hidden side of me, but it's a thing that only few students know because I don't talk a lot of that. I would have liked to tell you about a special passion or something out of the ordinary, but I'm someone who talks a lot, so everyone knows almost everything about me. It's not a big travel outside of Canada, but I keep only beautiful memories of this cruise. So, I took a cruise on Bella de Gagny with my class on secondary 2. It's the boat that provides maritime service of goods and merchandise of Anticosti Island and the lower North Shore. It makes the round trip from Rimouski to Blanc-Sablon over a period of 7 days. Its main mission is to meet the needs of the communities served while allowing passengers to live an experience of discovery and learning. Before continuing, I must give a summary of this trip. So, we did many activities including visiting the Mega Islands, Anticosti Island. We visited a museum on First Nations, as well as a reserve where an Inuit taught us a lot about his way of life. We slept on the boat the first few nights and in a gymnasium the last. We ate in a restaurant which had a nice view of the water and that only prepared food for us. I will repeat myself often, but it was an amazing experience. In my case, the origin of this trip is the same answer as how I was introduced to it. In fact, it was the parents of a student in my secondary 2 class who had the idea of proposing to the teachers' committee the possibility of taking a cruise on the boat on which they are working. They also offered a big discount, but the primary goal of the teachers was to teach us something through this journey. So we did a lot of work on the communities that inhabit the lower North Shore, and we even present the result to the public during a travel expo, which was much the same as a science fair but on a different subject. We organized fundraising campaign and a thrift store to cover the cost. My team also received a prize for the best presentation. It was about Stanley Vola, a great surgeon best known for the work he organized to educate the First Nation about good living habits. We had the chance to visit the IMQ to learn more about the marine trades. We were obviously afraid of not coming back because of mechanical breakdown on several boats. This trip, I consider it an important part of my life for several reasons. Firstly, because this trip allowed me to bond with new people and many became extremely close during this trip. We share a lot of moments that we will not soon forget. Also, because this trip, first and foremost, taught me a lot of things besides being fun. I chose this topic, first of all, because I talk so much that everyone knows everything about me. This trip was one of the only things I have never talked about. Then, because I hope I made people want to go there one day, and that I taught them something because I will go back there anytime, and for sure, I will do it after the COVID. Finally, I chose that subject because I consider myself lucky to have done it because it's an unusual school trip, yet both interesting and rewarding. Now, we welcome Brigitte Parent, the brain of this cruise. She is a high school science and math teacher, and she was the one who organized everything and practically worked day and night for the success of this trip. So, first of all, a trip like that must have required a lot of preparation. How much time did you approximately spend to organize this cruise?
It took a lot of time to organize the trip. It's hard to say how much time, but I would say that I probably invested a few hours every week for at least 6 months. I had to find information and write letters to have sponsorship and fundings, and I began in early October to do that. I also had to find activities that were related to our two main goals for that trip. The first goal was to appreciate and discover all the maritime professions with IMQ, and also to have a better knowledge of the First Nations people in Quebec. A lot of emails, I would say, and a lot of phone calls to make everything happen.
What was your favorite part of the trip? Your most memorable memory?
The best part of the trip, the part that I liked the most, was probably the meeting of Mr. Edouard Kaltosh. Mr. Kaltosh is an Innu from Nutashquan. They say Nutashquan and not Natashquan. It's close to the village. He was a really nice man. He was generous. He was interesting. He brought us at his home and talked to us about his culture for a few hours. He was very generous. I continued to exchange emails with him, and last year I went back to the North Coast and I saw him again. I met him again. We saw each other in close to his village, Kegaska. He gave me a small fruit. He gave me a big bag of chipouté. And on the other end, I also like to see the Magan Islands during the trip. Early in the morning, we went over there and we saw big culture and big structure. It was really, really nice to see.
It's true that these are all beautiful moments. Now, do you think the students learned from this process?
I think students, the majority of our students learn a lot from that project. They had to be well prepared because it was a big project for 4 days on the North Coast. So with my colleagues, we decided of a research project. We divided the students into teams, and some of them had to work on different aspects of the trip. Some of them worked on cities and villages, and others had to work on inspiring people from the First Nation, like Stanley Volant or Florent Volant, Joséphine Bacon, for instance, or Samian. We decided to make a big expo voyage, kind of like an expo science, and we invited all the members of the community of Saint-Fabien and Saint-Eugène, parents. There was a lot of people. Even the mayor was there. We had made bannock to eat. It's Innu bread. And we were very proud of our students. They communicated well their research. It was a big thing. So I'm sure they know more now about Innus and their culture. And what I would like the most for them to know is, I hope we open their minds in subjects related to the native people and their challenges, and maybe they will respect them more in the future.
I also think the students have learned a lot from this process. To conclude, after the COVID, obviously, will you be ready to take this trip again anytime?
For sure, I would like to go back to make that trip. It was a really nice experience on various aspects. I'm very interested in knowing more about Native people in Quebec, and I'm motivated to that the students know more. I think there's the big lack of information in the program in history for that. So it's kind of I think it's necessary to learn more about them. I like also to go back for the cruise experience. It was really nice to be on board this big ship.
Thanks for your attention, and I hope I have taught you something interesting about me.